The global expansion of artificial intelligence has imposed a pivotal and potentially disastrous burden on the world that is changing faster than we can write about it. It is like the world has been hit by a giant meteor and the existence of the human race is under immediate threat. Do we even have the time to write about it, as trivia addiction encompasses the planet? We Jesus Christians used to talk about being willing to suffer torture and execution for our faith, whereas now we see members leaving or threatening to leave our community if they cannot get more freedom to browse the internet, listen to music, read the news, check out interesting videos, play games, and just generally enjoy the pleasures and conveniences that artificial intelligence has tailored to each of our individual preferences. It is no longer a question of whether or not to use the internet. It is a haggle over how much more of our lives we can spend online and not be kicked out of the Jesus Christian community because of it. Yes, it sounds clandestine for our community to limit access to so much helpful knowledge, but look at the people who have the most control over this knowledge, and you'll find that they don't allow their own children to watch it. They are the dealers, and they know how deadly their own programming is. They deliberately do it for the purpose of being able to sell more and more trillions of dollars worth of advertising. Chatbots are trained to tell you what you want to hear, and they can do it without any of the restrictions that the human mind might have. If you want to commit suicide, they'll help you and encourage you. If you're having difficulty in relationships, they'll sympathize until you have alienated yourself from all your closest friends in favor of a life that revolves around a chatbot. If you want to blow up the world, they'll do all they can to help you as long as it keeps you coming back for more. The number one goal in all the apps is to keep you online, where the advertisers can exploit your weaknesses. They'll do whatever it takes to keep you there. What starts out looking like helpful information and knowledge ends up being anything that will rob you of real life in the real world. This image that can speak appears to be what the Bible is talking about in reference to two beasts that control the world in the last days before Jesus returns. Note, the beasts and horns mentioned in Daniel and the Revelation all seem to be world empires and/or world rulers. In many ways, Revelation 13 is no longer prophecy, so much as it is starting to become history. It is high time that Christians start manning the lifeboats and taking emergency measures to stop our various fellowships from going under. The first step has been finding the courage to say enough, to put the brakes on more and more addiction to trivial information in our families, our churches, and our own lives. It's not isolated individuals who are being caught up in this spiral. We leaders have also become addicted. Just imagine yourself going off all devices for a month. Almost immediately, you'll start thinking of exceptions. Many of the things that we never even imagined would exist a few years ago are now assumed to be absolute necessities. Banking apps, email, phone messaging, travel bookings, dealings with the government, purchases and sales, sat-navs. The list goes on and on, with new conveniences popping up daily. And before they are fully installed, the apps tend to move from being convenient to being seen as necessities. Lukewarm religion has no answer for this. Even governmental and law enforcement bodies don't know how to handle it. Our primary hope lies in finding individual courage to take some fairly radical steps away from reliance on the internet. Are you up to that? Within our own communities, we've restricted internet usage to weekly sessions where we browse at the same time and then share with each other the best parts from what each of us learned during the session. For the remainder of the week, internet usage is still highly regulated. Much of our impetus to overcome addictions stems from 24/7 support within a loving community. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, some of us report to each other, often on a daily basis, their own experiences with internet trivia. It is making us aware of how insidious the addiction is. Even billboards are being improved by the manipulators to the point where it is almost impossible for the general public to avoid reading them. All of them. We would like to challenge our friends and supporters to honestly assess how you are doing with regard to internet addiction. If there are legitimate uses of the internet, for example, watching videos here on A Voice in the Desert, we may also need to look for how these obviously helpful links are being used to lure us into other areas of interest which are not really necessary for our daily routines. I'll share a couple of suggestions on how to combat this. There is much more that can be done, but first, we need to be convinced that there really is a problem. Try not to read advertising, even out on the streets. Try not texting, at least for limited periods of time, even if it alienates friends and relatives. Try looking for other less addictive options when doing business or communicating with others. In the end, you may need to make more permanent and more uncomfortable changes to your routines in order to reclaim your freedom. I would especially appreciate hearing your feedback on this. Has your experience of AI been different from our own? We look forward to hearing what you have to say. God bless you, and thank you for listening.